You're looking at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, as fans are all packed in once again for more racing action here from this beautiful circuit. After a thrilling 24 hours at Daytona last week, this time is the season opener for the Turkish National GT Championship that's on center stage here on the iRacing Esports Network here at RaceSpotTV. I'm Justin Prince, alongside me Tobias Brockman for what should be an exciting race today. The first of 6 rounds starts off tonight here for this great series. Hugo Ruiz will be in the director's seat for all this action throughout the next hour and 30 minutes here from Daytona Beach, USA. Tobias, going to be an exciting race here today for the first round for this series here. 28 degrees Celsius for the track depth, 82 degrees Fahrenheit as well.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So 90 minutes of GTE action right here. We had a nice qualifying, actually, what we've seen behind the scenes a little bit. And the 5.6 kilometer track, it has its moments over there with these cars. In the bus stop, you can very much lose it under braking. So make sure you brake straight most of the time.
Indeed, for sure. A lot to discuss through this 90 minutes of action. Let's look at your starting grid for tonight's action for the opening round of the Turkish National GT Championship. In that qualifying session, a minute 41 seconds, .642 was the top time. Team Monacao was on the top of the boards. Track Warriors second, with Pure Motorsport Road Benders Yellow rounding out the top 4. In the minute 42 bracket, it's Momo Racing Team along with Smooth Criminal Racing, along with Astro Motorsport, along with Team Run for Fun, rounding out the top 8. Also in that minute 42 bracket, Race Condition along with the Space Racers, along with Road Benders Black, along with Super Goindra Racing. In the 13th spot, it's the Blue Screen of Death Racing Squad, racing alongside Spark Motorsport. Rounding out the teams in the top 16, Team Quicksilver and Team Alpha in the minute 43 bracket. The slowest car in qualifying of the 17 entries, Bam Bam Bam, racing in 17. A minute 44.198 was their qualifying time. And as the drivers work their way now out of NASCAR 4, a lot to expect for here today. 90 minutes of action, lots to talk about. Drivers required to make driver swaps. We'll get to that and more in just a moment. As the pace car rolls its way down pit road, drivers approach the restart zone. We're underway from Daytona International Speedway for the first round of the Turkish National GT Championship.
And you see already the Ford trying to make a pass on the inside, having to stick back not to crash into the rear. We have mostly cleaned through that turn 1, it looks like, side by side, too wide, so not that much of a hassle as we go down to the International Horseshoe.
Still working their way to the International Horseshoe. Single file for the top 4, nearly running into each other. A few drivers. Smooth Criminal Racing sent wide and losing a spot to Ashta Motorsport going into the International Horseshoe. But everyone running single file for now. A lot to discuss with the actions. They now work their way towards the final portions of the infield section of the racetrack. Everybody single file for the most part, except for the back with Spark Motorsport, taking the higher line at the back of the field. But as these drivers go around with Daytona, as we've seen in the 24 hours at Daytona, with the war before the 24, with many different races here at the Daytona International Speedway, you will see a lot of drivers trying to utilize the draft here, as you see in this double picture.
Yes, that is specifically true, but I think the Porsches actually will be a little bit disadvantaged here, as they don't seem to reach that top speed of the Ferraris and the Fords, especially in that midfield. You can see some of them having issues.
Yeah, some of them already losing a lot of track, track position rather, in these first couple corners, really, of this race today here at Daytona International Speedway. Just about 1 lap into the action, estimated 53 laps total in these 90 minutes of action as you follow along with Super Gajara Racing in the 11th spot, trying to use the slipstream. Drivers not allowed to use the apron here at Daytona to make a pass, so they have to stay above that double yellow line when working through the NASCAR oval. With that Porsche getting dive bombed, dives bombs itself all the way nearly off the racetrack. making contact race condition. He's sent sideways, they bump and bang. Few spots lost and some possible damage there on Super Kajor Racing for that number 8 car.
Yeah, but it was a very nice save in here. Now he's being attacked.
And hold on. And it looks like there's a couple Space War Racers is off the track in that section as well. Also losing a bunch of spots. Spark Motorsport for making contact. So 3 different drivers having a wild time going from the first corner of the road course all the way to the International Horseshoe here, Tobias.
Yeah, it looks like the Spark Motorsport car was actually touched by the number 8 that just caught itself down turn 1. And you see the number 8 is being a little bit more aggressive than you should be in these opening stages. I mean, of course, now it's about track position. Now the field is close together. And I think there was a pass off for the lead we had there. And we will see a replay of that on the left side. You can see they're going to turn 1. And on the outside, it looks like...
Yes, indeed. It looks like he got the outside line and got the preferred line, though, for the International Horseshoe to take that inside line, push up Team Mauna Kea Racing up the track, able to make the pass, Tobias.
Yeah, it looked pretty clean, pretty well thought through. So these two, I think, they will have more battles soon over the time of the race. As you can see now, the approach of Team Monaco now, them to the outside. Let's see if they can stick it into turn 1 and bring it to the horseshoe.
Alrighty, a couple laps total into today's race as Track Warriors able to put down the traction better and able to hold on for now. Mauna Kea able to get the better run though out of the exit. Just can't get side by side as Gear Motorsport tries to diamond their way through the International Horseshoe. The top 3 looking pretty stout so far as we look at side-by-side action. On the left side, you see midfield pack action. On the right side, it is the front top 3 that you're seeing already pulling away by 3-4 car lengths away from the Road Benders yellow team, currently who is sitting in the 4th spot on the racetrack, device.
Yeah, and you see this onboard of Team Mauna Kea on the left side, and they stick behind them whatever happens, but you see also that Track Warriors car, the 090, didn't get that much traction out of that turn, but it looks like both of them had the same issue here.
Looks like it too. But one thing, of course, to mention about this race here today with the Turkish National GT Championship, there is a required driver swap for today's race. They will open the pits from the 35th to the 55th minute of the race today. Drivers do have the option if they decide to take tires. However, as we discussed, that could be a disadvantage, not because of the pit stop time, but because with just a 90-minute race, that's not a lot of tire wear for these GTs.
Normally you have the 60-minute stint with these cars, and as we've seen in the racing Daytona 24 hours, most of the guys double or even triple stinted the tires, and as we're racing in the night, the track is not that hot, so you don't use a lot of that tires as you try another fight for the lead here.
Track Warriors defending on the inside line. On the outside line, Team Mauna Kea pushed up the racetrack. Gear Motorsport nearly lost the back end as well in that 3rd spot, so the top 2 now get a bit of a cushion. But another good scrap once again, trying to take advantage of the draft. But Road Benders Yellow can't take advantage of the higher line on the exit as Momo Racing Team rides into the top 5 all of a sudden with Ashton Motorsport. The top 6, as you can see, have just been able to break away from the rest of the field so far.
Yeah, and if you're in this top 6 group, you make a slight error and there's a chance of the car behind you just taking the slot there and pushing you a little bit more behind in the field.
Indeed, right now trying to make a push right now for the 5th spot is Ashton Motorsport. Cartal able to make the pass onto the inside line to be able to get up to 5th for now. As you see, separated by 0.2 of a second right now, but you see that draft alone just heading towards the bus stop out of NASCAR 2, that you get so much of a pull just coming off that exit. Although, you kind of don't want to be side by side of the bus stop here at Daytona.
I was hoping for an Alonso-like dive bomb into that bus stop now from Attala here. It didn't happen, maybe luckily, because as you just said, it can go very, very wrong.
Indeed, right now, and we've seen that happen a couple times in the 24 hours of Daytona. Meanwhile, up at the front, Team Mauna Kea trying to again work on behind the back bumper right now at Track Warriors. Now, the one thing I do want to note with this, some drivers we have seen have these kind of slingshot runs and just elect to save fuel by running behind a fellow competitor instead of making the pass. That seems to be starting to be the case where Team Mauna Kea knows, okay, we are going to end up only being side by side. May as well just stay single file in the early going here.
Yeah, I mean, with a 20-minute pit stop window, you can very much do an over or an undercut around here. And if you save that little, like half a gallon of fuel, that can help a lot. And it looks like race condition here with Chebunalan, they are battling for P10 as it looks like.
And of course, now looking back, the race champion, this is in that position battle with Team Quicksilver. Currently, Team Quicksilver leading a group of drivers involving race condition, Roadbenders Black, Super Gajara Racing among their group. But they have now fallen a fair amount of time, rather, on the track at this point, up to the next positions in terms of the battling right now. They just, as you can see, though, Sam Ulan just cannot get the run he needs to quite yet, I think, to try and make something work. As you look back at the front, as we look on board, that second place car once again with Team Mauna Kea, involving two drivers, the 2015 GT Academy champion currently behind the wheel, Hussein Dagli, pardon me, along with his teammate in Turgo, who was a Formula student driver as well to mention.
And you see again now the draft might be more than before, already side by side before the start-finish line. That might be now the chance for Team Mauna Kea with Yuzi and Dali at the wheel to make the pass again, but you lose a lot of time, of course, battling. And the fourth from Pure Motorsport in the back, he is looking, he's waiting for the arrow, and there it comes, and there can Pure Motorsport now try, but they lose the rear as well.
They nearly said hello to the wall instead of trying to go for the spot there, but a heck of a save for Karakam, pardon me, for Pure Motorsport to be able to keep it away from swinging hard left while losing the traction there in the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, the snap of oversteer can be quite nasty when trying to recover the car there, but it worked out pretty fine, but they're losing again time to the rear, so Roadbenders Yellow, they're catching up a little bit right now.
Little bit but surely right now with some of this battling going on the racetrack with this top 4 now essentially trying to do something, try and find any way they can at this point. But at this point, if you're, say, outside of this top 6 group with everyone now 2 cars apiece as you see up at the front, what do you do knowing that you've already lost a fair amount of time at the racetrack? Just the last time by, 8th place was 6.1 seconds back of this battle for the race lead.
Yeah, but everything can happen at Daytona, as we know, as we go side by side again. We stay with a lead battle on the left and with a rear to midfield on the right. P12 and 13, that's Roadbenders Black and Super Gajira Racing now fighting again. So the Porsche, who lost 1 position from the race start, having a better exit now to the banking of turn 1 and 2 of the open.
See some of that again right now on your screen. The 12th and 13th place battle shaping up. The lead battle again, nearly going side by side again. Tucking back in is Dagley to stay into the draft. Taking advantage of a mistake though, as Selak slides up the racetrack. They'll go side by side once again. Will this be enough of a mistake to try and go for the spot? Team Mauna Kea pushed up the racing line as Track Warriors able to keep the spot and not able to take advantage of the mistake that time is Team Mauna Kea.
Yeah, I think Mauna Kea, they would have been off better by staying more to the outside and try the switch move, you know what I mean, the crisscross?
Yes, exactly. I was surprised that they didn't do that there instead. They had the exact same line that when they lost the lead originally on lap 2.
So, but now they're really sticking up to the rear of that 090 car from Tech Warrior, so they're putting up pressure by a lot now compared to before. And you've seen before, I mentioned Solak, he did some mistakes. He locked the brakes actually going to the Western Horseshoe, so that might be now the chance of keeping up the pressure, forcing them into a mistake to overtake them.
Indeed, right now, the fastest driver last time by, in fact, was Roadbenders Yellow. Team Mauna Kea let right on by as Selak just lets him go on the inside. Dagley to the race lead.
That was a very, very nice pass and very smart from Machin Solak not to force an accident here.
I think at this point he knew that he that at least for now was slightly faster in the infield portion of the racetrack. The thing is, Track Warriors is faster, it seems, when in the slipstream and getting the toe coming from the back of Dagley right now. Looks like maybe too they might be deciding, you know what, you save some fuel for me, I'm going to save on back, as side by side for third nearly, as Pure Motorsport had to defend Road Benders Yellow and push them to the outside line.
Yeah, but now it's RaceSpot Motorsport with Kankadel in the back looking with the 85 car or 95 car, and they're putting up the pressure in that group. So that group around P3, that is actually a very exciting one right now.
It's starting to shape up very excitedly. Karaka along with Guven were nearly side by side going for the bus stop last time by. In fact, as that pass for the race lead was going on, Kartal looks like he's also starting to get the pace together as well. These are some of the fastest lap times, mind you, coming from inside this battle going on for the third spot on the racetrack right now. Last time by, they were in the 142 second bracket. That was 0.6 faster than the top two.
Yeah, it definitely was. And if you see Pekka Karaca, he did a mistake, I think, from Cure 144.2 last time by. So you can see them all catching up, all bunching up again. And actually there's only one car that is on its own with 2.1 second, as we see now the pass done here by the Road Benders Yellow. And can they stick to it? It looks like they had a slow exit, and yeah, they had Pure going by again.
They cut to the grass on the entry of the bus stop as well as on the exit. That loses them the line, and everyone just freight trains along that double yellow line. And again, that takes to where if you don't take the bus stop well enough, especially on the exit of it, you can lose the spot just like that, and now losing a ton of time as they nearly go side by side heading into turn one. Well, Aston Motorsports sent it in. No, they do not. They stay single file going out in towards the International Horseshoe. But again, those kind of mistakes can cost you, especially with the bus stop here, with how challenging it is here. Isn't that right, Divide?
Yeah, I mean, it was almost like in a NASCAR race. You lose that little amount of time and the whole train of cars just passes by.
Yeah, and that's where it can be a big time chance to take advantage of mistakes here too, because here at a track like this, you want to be against that double yellow line to try and draft along. That's the fastest way around here.
It looks like now there's an attack coming again from from Momo Racing Team against the RaceSpot Motorsport with Kankadel at the wheel. So they can't quite make it, but you look on the onboard on the left side of the number 14 car. Now you can see the draft, how it's working, how he pulls himself towards the other Ferrari with the green livery.
You're seeing this, it's down to under a car length. Will Ottor try and send it on in, goes to the high side, getting nearly squeezed into the wall, in fact, as Kartal goes for the defensive move. Looks like he tried to force Kartal to go to the inside line for the bus stop, and that could have been near disaster if they went as aggressively as they could have possibly did there into the entry for the braking zone.
I mean, it was smart of Kartal to use that inside line for defending, but he lost a lot of time towards the Pure Motorsport car of Pekka Karaca. That is now a gap of 0.35. We see again the Momo Racing Team trying to go around the outside of the RaceSpot Motorsport car.
Still trying to go on the outside. Altall forced very high this time as Guven tries to dive back inside. Can't make it quite work though, and now this is to where they're battling so aggressively, they're losing time to that top group. As now, battling again for the position, this side by side now for fourth spot on the exit of the International Horseshoe to the Western Horseshoe. Altall with Kartal. Kartal able to get the better line again to go back to single file as Road Benders Yellow sends it in deep on the high side. Can they be able to get the traction though to try and keep this side by side? This is now for fifth. Momo Racing Team on the outside. Road Benders Yellow to the inside. Going into NASCAR 1. Road Benders Yellow able to make the pass work.
Yeah, that was a very decisive move there, staying on the outside. You really push the car to the inside. You don't have that much of grip. You can't accelerate as much as you can on the normal line. So there was, of course, the Road Benders Yellow car in the advantage, and they sticked it all the way because the next time around it's the left side and then you're on the inside.
The estimated laps to go, about 43.3 to go in the race here for the opening round of the Turkish National GT Championship. You look on board and look on back, you see Monaco has now started to pull on away a bit, in fact, from Mercan Salak and Track Warriors now through that last lap alone. They're near bumper to bumper at one point. It seems like Dagley, especially as the tires start to show some wear, really starting to pick up the pace, especially in that infield section here as you look back to 10.
Yeah, and it's now the number 8 car trying to make back all these positions they lost with the accident in turn 1. And they stick it to the inside. That might be good, but we've seen that passing on the outside actually is fairly easily done as well, because you get so much more speed, and there the 18 car has to correct himself because the 8 was still next to them. And they probably will lose another position to the Ford, who's already looking in the back.
To make one pass, as you've seen, can't make the second yet as they now go back single file. But one thing I do want to talk about here is you look at the speeds they're currently working with here in the infield section. While you can draft a lot in, of course, the super speedway portion, the make or break portion of this racetrack, rather, is when you're inside the infield to try and gain time and to try and make consistent lap time, because if you make a mistake here, that's where the biggest time you can lose comes.
And in my opinion, the most crucial part is actually turn 1, because there you can lose or gain a lot of time in the infield actually. The Hoshis are not that hard to get speed in there, but turn 1 is all it takes. Most of the drivers try to use a kind of triangular approach, not to brake while turning, and of course you can put up more braking force when you're braking straight on.
Indeed, right. I agree with you on that one for sure. Once again, here as you look back at that battle again, 7 spots Smooth Criminal Racing Team Run for Fun currently lined up single file, still trying to gain to the back of that battle that was going on for as far back as 6th, but still on the bright side, they can maybe slingshot with each other or whatnot if they decide to do so. Smooth Criminal Racing just going to let him take the inside as Cypher or D'Angelo makes the pass to move up to 7th for the time being. So as all of this is going on, some of these drivers, of course, have to think about strategy. The pit window opens about 15 minutes from now. As you're working these drafts, if you're at the back portion of these groups, you're able to save fuel. If you're at the front portion, though, that means you're going to be burning much more fuel, as we talked about a little bit.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but I think tire wear isn't that much of an issue since the track is still at 28 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it means that you can save on tires if you don't drive too aggressively. You can very much make it to the end, so the difference of used tires and new tires isn't that big. So, as it said in our briefing, might be disadvantageous to just change the tires here.
And a lot of these drivers remember, there's no drop weeks in this championship. We have Daytona, Summit Point, Sebring, Road America, Laguna Seca, Road America for the championship. Of course, coming up, though, in a couple weeks, on Tuesday, February the 12th, is the eNASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series as they get ready for the opening race of the 2019 season, the Daytona 250. You can catch that on the iRacing Esports Network and RaceSpot starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Who's going to come away with the championship this year on the greatest stage? You'll find out here on the iRacing Esports Network. Of course, an hour and 9 minutes to go in the action for this meanwhile. But to get back to the point in terms of this action itself right now, as we look at the battle forming up for the 4th spot, these drivers still trying to be fiercely competitive here, knowing that with this being such a short season, you can't afford to make early season mistakes.
Yeah, normally in longer seasons, as we see now, the battle between the number 4 and the number 7 car, or is it the 95, sorry. Yeah, as you just said, normally you have longer seasons, you can, okay, first race, P10, P11, it's okay. But here you really have to push from the beginning all the way through the whole season. Every of those 6 races they have is key to the championship.
For those wondering about the point system, the winner gets 30 points, second 25, third 20, fourth 15 on downward in terms of points. So basically, if you're, say, one of those top 2, you kind of don't want to drop out of, say, the top 2 out of the podium spots. there's a lot of that action going on with the podium spots right now as you look at Road Benders Yellow and Anstel Motorsport once again. Currently in 4th and 5th, they're losing track to Pure Motorsport. The thing is, though, we've seen it already a couple times here tonight already alone, where if you even lose that much ground, you're able to gain it up quickly because of the slipstream. Yeah,
slipstream, I mean, slipstream of course helps, but it doesn't help if you're away too far, and you might lose it after the next time around the infield. And the number 8 car here from Super Gajero Racing, they're doing a great job of just sticking it to the rear of the race condition Ferrari.
Meanwhile, we look at one of those Porsches that we were talking about in the 11th spot, still battling for 11th rather. Super Gajero Racing, Earl Pazart Bassi currently running in that spot, pardon me, with Haron Aiden behind them with Road Benders Black. You see them lined up single file again for this spot, still battling for the most points they can in the long run of the picture. But it's been so far, other than that small contact on the left rear that you see on your screen for the tiny touch there, they've been able to still keep their own, keep themselves in the 11th to 12th spots right now, that Super Gajero Racing machine.
I mean, they qualified for 12, they're now back on 12, so at the moment they didn't lose, but did not gain as well a position here.
Everyone else in terms of the car, for that specific car I should rather say, is currently either in the last couple spots on the track, specifically Team Alpha in 15th. Everyone else is either in a Ferrari or a Ford currently in this race. You talked about some of the differences, but we haven't talked much about the differences, say, some of the Ferraris and the Fords, where that's a lot of these battles that are going on now for the 3rd spot, where you have 3rd and 4th Fords, 4th, 5th, and 6th Ferraris.
I think the most of difference between these two cars is actually on the braking, because on the straight lines of the super speedway in the oval, you see pretty much they stick kind of mostly together, but once they come to the infield or through the bus stop, you can see that the Fords seem to be better on the braking.
Battle for the race lead? Potentially no. As Track Warriors thought about it, Select backing out from the outside line, Dagley holding on to the inside. They thought about poking it, but end up staying single file for now. Just 25 minutes, just under that mark into the action here, and still saving. But you have to wonder, with so many drivers continuously thinking of poking their noses out here, how long do you think it might be until drivers say, okay, I've saved enough, I want to go, I want to make up time in spots right now, especially in that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th group, which is 5 seconds back of the race leaders?
So in this group, I think that you will see at least 2 of these guys trying an undercut on the other guys, because having a free road, of course, can be better, especially on the infield, but on the oval part, you can lose a lot of time in this case, because normally normal racetrack, it averages out with a part on fast parts of the track or slower parts of the track. But here, I mean, the oval section is so important for the speed here of those cars. The drafting is so important to keep the speed with these guys. So I can imagine the lap times dropping a lot when running on the oval.
I don't know. I don't think so quite yet either. As you see there, thinking of a move, there is Govin that time towards the inside, but decided back out of it as they continue to stay single file once again for this group. Everyone's essentially running single file for those wondering on the racetrack and currently think of that. Usually, this is about the time in these kind of races where it's the calm before the storm. The first 10 minutes after start of a race or a pit window, and the final 10 minutes before coming into a pit window are usually the most kind of where we see people take risks. Road Benders Yellow taking a big risk as Pure Motorsport slides. Karaka able to save it, loses just the 1 spot, holds up everyone else. A heck of a save.
Oh, we got the number 15 car off of Team Run for Fun. Now in 8th position here, so they lost it as well, I think.
And this one, they lost the back end. You were talking about the differences a little bit in brakes, and that time it looked like the back wheels just locked up. Ends up holding up a lot of time there for Smooth Criminal Racing, so they'll lose at least a couple seconds all the way back to 9th as Team Quicksilver now has a chance to jump both of them. but it was a heck of a save, though, coming from Bakir Kabaka to be able to keep himself away from destroying everyone else in that group.
And as I told you before, triangular braking into turn 1, or triangular driving actually, is very important. I think the Ferrari tried to brake in turning, hit the brakes too hard, and the rear directly locks up. So you really have to be careful on how you brake into turn 1.
And that is got to be the best point. It's hard to make sure you're being careful if you don't have a car, so to speak. So you have to make sure the brakes are properly working to make sure you have said car. Well, Karaka bounces off the curbs and loses a couple tenths for a split second meanwhile, but that basically, for now, loses them even more so time after that heck of a save to the race leaders, though, because that really held up Aston Motorsport trying to check up. Momo Racing Team even more so trying to check up. Pure Motorsport, they want that spot back. Karaka going to the outside. Will he go for late braking? Goofin sends it in very deep. And they stay single file as Goofin nearly bobbles his way to the left. But a much better exit, though, once it's again by Karaka to stay inside that line. It looks like now he's just going to, I think, by the looks of it, based on that corner, for now going to take a conservative.
Yeah, I think it's just they witnessed turn 1 can be very nasty, so now they keep it a little bit more calm, pushing it to the limit up a little bit per lap, a little bit more again. So you see them trying to keep the inside to make them go wide, so, but it doesn't work that much because road benders, they're actually pretty good defending right here.
Very good at defending right now. You have Husno Guven behind the wheel for that machine as well. Serkan Yarnitz coming in later on for the driver swap for that team. Of course, for live timing and scoring, be sure to visit RaceSpotTV/timing to keep up with the timing and scoring for today's race, to see where your favorite driver is and your favorite team is, to see how they fare here for the opening round of the Turkish National GT Championship. Of course, as you see, drivers faring well in the bus stop once again, able to all hit the mark the way they need to. A couple drivers taking it wide, but now at this point, as we reach the 1 hour to go mark, your key strategy for this race at this point, Tobias?
Key strategy, in my opinion, is just staying calm, putting up pressure, of course, onto that car. As we see again, the Pure going now already past them before turn 1, but that can be pretty dangerous, as we've seen before. There, that side on the outside. Are they keeping it? They had to correct the steering here, lost the position again to the road bender's yellow car.
Yeah, that time got the run, but again, most of the time, unless you're able to stick the brakes, that move has not worked so far. This move might be a possibility for Kartal as he dives to the right side, but as we've seen in the kink, usually if you're on the kink, you'd back out of the gas on that outside line, you're back to the inside line to try and go single file, and that's what happens. But it looks like at this point, like, everyone's just continuously, if they get the run, they might try it. But every time they've tried to get the run, unless you got the inside line in a turn 1, it's not work. As Karaka losing a ton of time all of a sudden this lap.
I think the best part for him is now to try the undercut or just get out of that battle here. As soon as the pit opens, I guess he is turning in.
Right now at 59 minutes 30 seconds to go right on the clock right now, is now able to break the way from the draft as Govan because of all the mistakes in the past lap alone from Pure Motorsport. Now the question is, though, they're still about a second back. It's still, how long do you think it might be until they reach them back as you look on board to the driver at the end of that train in Momo Racing Team?
Yeah, that's the number 14 car. That is now a little bit further back of the Aston Motorsport car. I think they got the bus stop not quite right, cutting a little bit more of the grass as they wanted to, and of course not having that grip. But now you see again, as Motorsport, they are putting up the pressure up to Bekir Karaca in the number 7 car on the Ford, going down turn 1.
And you see them now going into the International Horseshoe once again. Bit earlier braking now we're seeing from Karaka 2 since that lockup, essentially. That time back at the corner at least about 10 feet earlier than Cartel and Alatar were able to do that time. So it looks like that might be a way to try and save the tires, or make sure he doesn't have this sort of a bobble that he had before until he gets the confidence back, do you think?
I think it's both things. It's saving the tires a little bit, not being too aggressive on them, because they want to keep them on the whole race. And we have a nice standing here showing who gained and who lost positions. So Team Quicksilver, they started in P15 and then now to 8th. So they actually the winner of the first 30 minutes, I would say.
I think so in terms of the pace, and they moved up to 8th. Remember, some of the drivers they've been running around now were some of the ones that, of course, slid sideways a few laps ago in Team Run for Fun. Smooth Criminal Racing, the next position for them, and you see their best time on the bottom side picture of your screen so far. They've been slowly but surely picking up the pace since in qualifying, being about 2.5 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, at the moment they're off the pace, but the best lap is actually kind of with them. But Team Monaco KO, they are putting 142s 897s, and now Warriors 142.627. So they're running the best lap of Quicksilver all the laps.
And since that opening lap, too, you've seen Space Warriors the biggest loser since the incident that's seen them against the guardrail on lap number 2 of this race tonight overall. Currently just past 36 total minutes into the race. That means at about this time we are nearly at that window where the pit stops can come into factor here. Currently about a minute and a half total, I should rather say. 36 total minutes since taking the grid are these drivers right now. So these drivers just a few moments away from getting into that where we might see undercuts or overcuts. They just have 30 minutes, mind you, from 20 minutes rather, to go into the pits and pull off their strategies if they elect to do so.
Yeah, and also remember they have to swap the drivers in the pit stop window. So if you want to just to stop one more time, then you of course want to change the driver right now. And I think the leaders, they might be too early for the pit stop window, but this group we have on here right now, they actually can come in quite precisely, but I don't think it will be enough for them as well.
Right now the distance between these drivers, I should rather say 9.1 seconds, and they're losing time in fact to Road Benders Yellow since they broke the draft from those mistakes. They're made by Karak with Pure Motorsport. So now it's the matter of, at this point, where do you think they go from here? Do you think it's just a recovery drive, just trying to hope that there's some mistakes to maybe try and get the spot, as here's a spot chance here from Momo Racing Team on the outside line. Can they try and get themselves back into the top 5 for the first time since the early stages? No, they cannot, as they can't get the run here tonight.
Yeah, they lost it a lot by going too wide on the outside. They can't get the throttle down, they can't get the power down. But he's actually braking later than the car of RaceSpotTV Motorsport, the number 95. So that might be the chance further on as they get maybe Pure Motorsport's car out of the way, as we're now in the pit stop window.
Pit stop window officially open for the first round of the Turkish National GT Championship from the Daytona Road Course. Question is, do we see anyone come in? None of the back markers came in that are off the pace. The furthest driver back is Bam Bam Bam, 47.44 seconds back the last time the leaders crossed the line. Leaders, meanwhile, as you look at the top 4, 5, 6, still running away from the rest of the group at this point. The pace they've been running continuously, helping ensure safe fuel. They haven't swapped positions, I should note, in about the past 15 minutes. However, they've been just constantly getting the fastest lap times on the racetrack. A minute 42.7 for Monaco last time by a minute 43 flat for Track Warriors.
Yeah, so let's see if one of them goes into the pits now. It doesn't look like it. They would be too fast now to enter that. But also what I think comes into account here is errors in pit entrance, since you depending on how the angle is, as they try now another attack. So Team Monaco still at the front, as Warriors didn't quite get the foot down out of turn 1.
Not quite yet, still saving in that group as we've talked about. Still running a higher line, it looks like, to Diamond off. Meanwhile, Caracas still looking like he's now struggling. Now he's getting to the point, if we can go back to fourth, he's getting swamped on that back bumper every single time they go in the International Horseshoe all of a sudden. And by Cartel and Ashtel Motorsport. It looks like they want to get the run. It's just they haven't gotten to the opportunity yet to prime pass because they're nearly running him over every time he's backing up the corners into these tight entries in the infield.
Yeah, and you see now Momo Racing Team that with the driver Sebahattin Atala, he's getting nervous in the back. He wants to get past that number 95 car.
Yeah, he wants to go quick. We've seen him try and go to the outside line. This is after, mind you, he was almost a second back about just 20 minutes ago. He's flashing the lights. Will he let him go is the question. Yes, they do. It looks like they will swap position. So it looks like Momo Racing Team pushing the turbo button now in the middle stages of this race all of a sudden in terms of pace. They move up into the top 5. Gentlemen's move there, knowing that you're slightly faster, may as well let the driver on by and let him pull you across down through the racetrack route.
So that might be that the 95 car now comes into the pits, let's see around there. But also that might be a smart move because when Momo can put up the pressure on Pure, they could do a mistake that cost them a lot of position maybe.
And as you see side by side once again for the race lead, Monacao still defends onto the inside, Track Warriors pushed up to the outside. Now, one thing I do want to ask, though, once the driver swaps happen, how does that change the game here for these drivers? Because you got, in some cases, the top-tier drivers behind the wheel for these teams. Once you have the driver swaps, how do you think that'll factor into how these battles go as one driver is in the pits, Super Gajoro Racing, with the undercut going on from 14th?
Yep, they now already lost 2 positions while doing that, but that might be a smart strategy. You don't know if they already had the faster driver in or not, as we're now back to 15th position with another pass done by the Bruskin of Death Racing Team, but also bam bam bam, they just passed them, but in the end, you know that the pit stops, they can take up a lot of time sometimes. Normally with these GTE cars, it's about 33 to 35 seconds.
Right now up to 29 seconds, 30 seconds in fact is the pit stop. 31.7 is the total time on the lane, combined time 50.6. So coming out with about a minute 20 seconds pit delta, as that is your first pit stop of the race so far here tonight. Now the question is, now that that's come in and made their first driver swap, you see they're with Yijit now behind the wheel. Yijit has pardon me. When do you now see the rest of the drivers come on in? Because you still got about a window of 15 minutes to dive on in.
Yeah, I'm talking about dive on in to Track Warriors trying it again out around the outside, locking up the left front tire. So again, no luck for them into turn 1.
Yeah, that time they dived it onto the outside line with another run, so it looks like, knowing that the pit window's open, they want to make this move and make it now, and then basically have the lead when they have to come into the pits here.
Yeah, so there might be a race into the pits. They might be now recalculating the fuel. How much do I need to put in now? As least as possible, because then can maybe push at 1.5 seconds. And if you want more iRacing action, just subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network, as you're currently watching the Turkish National GT Championships together with Justin Prince. I'm very pleased to have you here.
Very pleased to have you here as well. Later on today, by the way, Apex Racing TV will be hosting the BSR MX5 Winter Series, so a lot of action here you can see all throughout the week here on the iRacing Esports Network. Speaking of the action, currently the action towards the race to the pit lane is starting to heat up. Road Benders Black in along with Bam 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 with their driver swaps. So some of the drivers right now outside the top 10 are coming in. Currently, we'll see what the leaders decide to do. Again, pit window open at 55 minutes to go. They have until 55 minutes total in the race in terms of the distance. That is currently about 12 minutes from now. As the leaders move their way into the tri-oval, none of them duck down. Track Warriors, though, with a huge run. Select back to the outside line. Side by side. Can he make the move stick this time? can't clear him once again. Again, sliding on up is Dagley to be able to hold off the line. But look where one of the drivers coming out of pits is. That is Gunzo Tasdelen coming into the car for Bam 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 right in front of the race leaders. That could be a factor maybe to be used as a pick.
Hey, let's just hope that they move out of the way perfectly around here. It looks like they might have a little bit of luck because they might be closing up around the oval part of the track, so that might be a good thing. But of course, we have the battle for P4 as well happening right afterwards.
Momo Racing Team finally makes the move on Pure Motorsport as they push them up the entry, on the exit rather, coming out of the International Horseshoe. So it looks like Caracas starting to really struggle with the car on the corner exits all of a sudden. Riding up the racetrack, Momo Racing Team now leads that said group.
Yep, and that's what I actually thought would happen when they leave them by. So it was a smart move, maybe. But now they're on their own, they couldn't use that moment to get through as well. And look at that gap now that is between those cars.
And you see that said gap right now, currently about a car length between currently 4th and 5th, 2 car lengths 5th and 6th, as Dastel Motorsport really had to get out of the gas in the middle of the bus stop and losing some time once again in the draft. And by the way, with that lead group, they were broken up by that lap car moving to the bottom side before the bus stop. A big run, though, once again for Solak on the outside. You see the pass going on once again, though. This is again for the 4th spot. Pure Motorsport trying to get the spot on back from Momo Racing Team. Austal trying to hold on to the inside, Caracas to the outside. Late break, both of them this time, as Caraca can't get the power down, loses the spot right on back. Momo Racing Team up to 4th once again as Road Bender's yellow drifts in front of them.
Yes, and this still keeps them losing a lot of time. For example, the Momo Racing Team car is now almost 11 seconds away from the lead, and this is actually a lot of time.
Ferrari versus Ford versus Ferrari action still as huge overcook. Nearly said hello back bumper to Momo Racing Team. Caraca nearly seeing his life flash before his eyes right now for this race tonight.
Yeah, this race could have been over for both of the cars, but I think good reaction of the 7 car to keep it most to the outside as possible to just not hit the rear of the Momo Racing Team car.
Yeah, indeed, and didn't lose them too much time. They're all now separated about even distance with that battle between 3 car lengths each way for the time being. Currently pit window open for the next 10 minutes, mind you, here with 45 minutes, 30 seconds to go in the action. Back up to the lead group, though. Track Warriors the closest they've been out of NASCAR 4. They dive to the inside. Will they go into the pits? No, they're not going to the pits, trying to duck underneath that double yellow line. You can't do that for the pass. Had to go back to the outside. Can't make the move once again as they continue to potentially either save and or get antsy as Solak moves up the racetrack aggressively, loses some time again to Dagley. As you look at that battle again into turn 1, Momo Racing Team able to just hold on.
Yeah, Pure just went the nose first into turn 1, but Momo had the better line around here and just make it stick one more time.
And Smooth Criminal Racing's number 17 is into the pits. They pit from the top 10 on the racetrack as you look at the side-by-side. And so now we're starting to see the drivers in the top 10 pit here. So these drivers have maybe the 3-4 laps until they can decide to duck in now. We talked about the possibility of drivers thinking of the undercut now. At this point, when do you come in knowing that you don't have much time to come in? Just 26.6 estimated laps too as well to think about, Tobias.
I think what especially the lead is doing, they will come in at the same time. So the number 2 car, Matthew Soda, he will copy the move of using Dali. I think they will come in at the same time, I guess.
And for the rest of the pack, really, do you try and follow them in? Do you just hope to run maybe an extra lap and try and take advantage of that strategy? So you see Smooth Criminal Racing come out with their driver swap?
I think it depends on what your position is into the race. So when you're really next to an opponent and can use that draft, you want to stay with them. But if you're mostly apart from each other a little bit more separated as we have it in the field, like with 1 second of a gap, 2 seconds of a gap, then it doesn't matter too much. You can mostly do the classical undercut, overcut tries. But staying with the car in front is very crucial here, as you will lose a lot of time into the ovals.
Losing a lot of time has been this battle for the 4th spot that's been side by side a couple different times now into turn 1. Once again, defending the inside is Altal. And well, as this is going on, mind you, they're slowly but surely losing a few tenths now a lap rather than seconds. It's 10.1 seconds back from the battle from 4th to the race leaders right now. And as this is going on, the fastest car on the racetrack, if we can go back up to Guven, is him. 6.6 seconds now back as everything else has been going on this racetrack. Fastest car on the racetrack the past couple lap times by.
Yeah, 142.8. That's actually 0.4 seconds faster than the Team Monac KO in the lead right now. And you can see they getting closer just by a little bit every lap, half a second in average over the last 5 or 6 laps.
And they've been doing this too after breaking the slipstream, so at this point it looks like they're feeling confident. Reminder though, they have to still come in for the driver swap. It's Serkan Jelenic who is waiting on the wings to come into the car once they go in for the pit stop here. So knowing that they're one of the fastest cars on the track, do you see them trying to maybe do some strategy, or do you see them trying to follow those leaders in and coming as hard as they can to the pit entry?
I'm not sure about that, but what I'm sure is that Pure now is past Momo Racing. But now you see again, Track Warriors now trying to stay on the outside again, get the braking right, and you can be in front here. Maybe a little evasive move again from the number 9 car not to hit it.
Again, pushed up the racetrack. Again, not able to do anything there with Pure Rate Motorsport. You mentioned them able to make the pass work to get back up to 4th. You still look at that lead group, so you're side by side, you're bumper to bumper rather. Able to pull off and away once again is Monaco, who's seen a look more stronger. But now Mobile Racing Team all of a sudden has been losing ground. Nearly got passed for 6th. The pass that we're talking about here with Pure Motorsport happened in that bus stop. So it looks like all of a sudden, Altal is looking like he's falling off in these past couple moments.
Yeah, I think now it's the best time to get the pit right now, because you will lose a lot more time if you can't stay concentrated and can't get back to your rhythm fast enough. And as a reminder, we got about 5 minutes and 45 seconds left to have to enter the pits.
Not trying to punch clocks here, but if you want to keep up with the clocks of the drivers as they work their way around the racetrack, keep up with RaceSpot.TV/timing to keep up with what's going on across the circuit, to see if your favorite drivers in the pits right now, or where they're on the circuit. Right now, the leaders, they're in NASCAR 3 as you see them on the bottom side along that yellow line. Just have a couple laps until they can stretch it the most they can in terms of pit window. Track Warriors getting the biggest run they've gotten by far, heading into the tri-oval. Can Select get the lead before that pit window closes up and they have to come in? Not able to clear Dagley quite yet. Dagley tries to set it hard on the inside line. They're side by side into turn number 1. Dagley drifts it on the bottom side, able to keep the lead. My goodness.
Wow, that was very late braking.
Absolutely. And if that was the checker flag, Solak might have actually got the checker.
Yeah, he would have. He would have definitely got the checker here.
And I think that's partly experience coming there from Dagley, knowing that although he had the stronger run through the tri-oval, if I outbrake him on that preferred line, you can still keep the lead through the most important parts of the racetrack.
But you know what I think right now? I think that Solak is having a point here. He's staying behind him, because if he's doing that all the time, you remember in NASCAR, it happens a lot of time. If you're in the lead in the last lap, you're mostly screwed.
You're a sitting duck is the term they use a lot of times with a restrictor plate racing. Of course, that changes next year. That is a topic and a half to discuss later down the road. Meanwhile, you see Selak trying to get the run on the outside, nearly entering the bus stop. They enter near side by side, getting very impatient here at this point. and they got to come in the next 2 laps here if they want to have that required driver swap and pit stop on the racetrack. Some great action between these drivers. We'll see if they come on in this time. Estimated 23 laps to go here with 38 minutes to go in the action. Team Mauna Kea again holding the inside. Again they stay out. Again side by side through the NASCAR Tri-Oval. Heading into turn number 1, lap car ahead. That is the blue screen of death racing team car. As Track Warriors again can't make it stick. They, again, just can't make that outside line work whatsoever. Road Benders Yellow, meanwhile, into the pits, coming from the top 5.
Yeah, so they are now inside. We can now estimate how much time they would lose in total. So now with the second driver in there, what do you think will happen with the lead cars if they pit now?
Well, you got to remember,
driver strength.
In terms of driver strength, in my opinion, you got Team Mauna Kea that's got 2 strong drivers. That is a part of their squad. Slack, currently, they have Sejat Urkal waiting on the wings for their team right now. So you got to, so that's a possibility. But it's more of a question for you. What do you think here with these 2? Because it could be the make or break situation for them. You see Road Benders Yellow coming right on the pits right now.
No, I'm actually just hoping. If I would be one of the Track Warriors teammates, I would think like, okay, let's just hope we can stick with them and then try the NASCAR overtake into the Tri-Oval at the end.
I think so, and we'll have to see once again. 37 minutes to go, 2 minutes total until the deadline for the pit window. It's been near side by side each time. Track Warriors, mind you, a lot of drivers might just tuck in and try and save fuel. They decide to come on in. Both lead drivers coming into the pits this time. Can they get to the speed limit? Speed limit at this track 55. Both of them were able to do so. So both of them now into the pits. The top 2 coming in, as well as Pure Motorsport, Momo Racing Team, Asta Motorsport, all coming in. No one locks up the brakes into the infield as everyone tucks into the pit stalls.
So that's actually pretty good to have them both standing behind each other, so that gives them a little more pressure. So the Mauna Kea, they were a little bit fast of getting the driver out of the car, and that might be a very, very close one right here.
And again, the last pit stops we talked about, the pit window, times currently ranging for this race so far from 30 seconds to 33 seconds. Pit delta about 1 minute and 20 seconds. The last of the drivers in the lead cars coming in amongst the drivers you see coming in now. And first coming out, in fact, is Track Warriors. Said that Urkal might have put in a little less fuel and spins the car! Spins the car, hits the gas too hard, and loses what could have been the race lead.
Wow, that was very unfortunate for him. He was too hard on that throttle right here on the exit. I mean, the Ferrari in the first gear, he's very, let's almost say, volatile when you turn in a little bit. So that's maybe also a reason why the Rolex 24, they had the pit limiter up till the end of the turn inside of that wall. So that's now a threat now from Pure Motorsport, who may be very possible to get into the second spot, especially with this with these heated rear tires.
Absolutely. Now, behind the wheel for Pure Motorsport, Boran Volkan now. Let's look at the race replay with that. As you see, he comes out of the stall slowly at first, and then you see that inside, revved it up, hooked it a hard left, nearly collected. Meanwhile, Mauna Kea as well, while hooking around. So that was near disaster for everyone, really, on the pit exit. Look at this on board from Team Mauna Kea from this.
So what I think happened is that the Track Warriors wanted to keep a little bit of space because they didn't know if they come out at the same time, then had to turn in harder than usual for the pit exit, and they weren't used to it. So that might have been the issue.
Just wow is all I can really say now, because that has given a big-time advantage to the man you see for Team Mauna Kea up at the front, and Turkish Kursnalnu. Now, all of a sudden for third, it's at Hornet's Nest. Pure Motorsport really overcooked the bus stop and nearly lost traction into the center of the bus stop. Momo Racing Team able to try and get the draft. Road Benders Yellow, they came out losing ground from the strategy as they tuck in behind Austral Motorsport now along that lineup. So this race has been completely flipped on its head. 6.4 seconds is the gap between first and this whole gaggle of cars now because of that mistake.
Oh wow! So that's something very, very unfortunate. I can almost see the tears of anger and frustration of those two drivers from Track Warriors who are now prone to be attacked by pure Momo, Aster, and the Road Bandits.
Yeah, and on top of that, Team Moakeo, they got clean air. These drivers, while they do have slipstream, have shown that the slipstream has not been able to gain the time against the top two. As you see, falling on board right now, this is on board with Olsen Kakya, currently working his way in the fourth spot overall in the racetrack, and seeing that Volkan has really been this entire team rather for Pure Motorsport has taken every single exit, it seems, on a higher arc compared to everyone else in that 4GT.
Yeah, Özkan Kaya here, he had a lot of better exit around here. You've seen that Pure already lost time again to Sedat Erkal here, but they can't make it stick down the bus stop, I think. No.
Not going to risk it, but this is where the last time Volkan lost a lot of time on the bus stop. This time hits it much better. Missing the bus stop completely on the exit is Jonas, meanwhile behind them. Ran all the way into the grass and has lost the top four group after trying the undercut.
Yep, and that might be the issue now because all of these guys, of course, they're battling, of course, they're fighting, but at least they're having draft on the oval parts of the track. And oh my gosh, he almost lost it completely. Very nice save though.
And he missed the first part of the bus stop. Let's look on board to see this. And this, again, as you said, near disaster. Overcooked it there, overcooked it again, trying to save it.
Yeah, very lucky again. Another driver to not have the snap oversteer that you get a lot with these cars, with having a lot of grip on these tires and with these aero packages. And now we're having the fight again in front of their Momo Racing team, by the way, past the Pure Motorsport car now. So Özkan Kaya, he's now in second place, and the Truck Warriors, they are now in fifth.
And a lot of time gained up from Momo Racing Team. That was as the action was going on, mind you, because that was side-by-side, because of side-by-side action as we're showing that replay. Track Warriors overcooked the corner. Pure Motorsport locked up the brakes. That led to both of them losing significant time in turn number one. And now, breaking the draft is Momo Racing Team. And we've seen the last driver to break the draft away from this gaggle of cars today was able to slowly gain half a second a lap. Do you think Kaya has the car to do that this time, like we've seen with Rob Benderjo in the first stint?
It might happen. It depends on how Monaco drives now, because I think they will take it a little bit more easy now this time around than before, seeing that they just did a 144.740. I mean, they're all in the 144s at the moment, but you already see the tires degrading a little bit.
And that's some of the risk with the double stint. While it's a 90-minute race, you still get a lot of tire wear. Speaking of drivers trying to use their tires, they're going to go side by side and put those tires into use on the hard braking corner of turn one once again. Ashton Motorsport can't get the traction. Track Warriors says thank you very much. I'll take that spot right on back.
Yeah, that's the risk with going wide in turn one. You can make it stick very, very neatly, but also can risk just having someone see the empty space there and fill it with their car.
Yeah, and to get to the tires now, again, while it's a 90-minute race, rather, you can still burn up these tires fairly decently with the double stint, like we're seeing here. With these drivers, mind you, coming in with worn tires rather than fresh tires, like you might in a lot of endurance races.
I mean, yeah, of course, in endurance races like the Daytona 24 that we had here just a week before, it's, I mean, all the people doing save the tires because everyone has to get around 24 hours. But here, some of them, I mean, it looks like nobody really changed it, but maybe Team Monaco, because they were standing 2 seconds longer than everybody else I see in the top 10.
And that's interesting here. You see here, too, they're 2/10 faster each lap right now. Going to confirm this here because, if that is the case, while it may be a bit of a disadvantage, it can still be a possibility to gain that set time on the track, as you still see them roll their way on their own, still at 6.4 seconds ahead. They did not take tires, though, to confirm.
Yeah, they didn't take tires, but of course they didn't burn them by doing a donut in the pit lane. So that might be at one point as well. And as you see, the group is holding up themselves by battles. And Turgut Kirstenlu, he didn't have any battles so far for a few laps now.
Yeah, and right now you see Track Warriors really up the track that time as Aston Motorsport with Koroglu goes right on by to go up to the 4th spot now. So they're starting to really suffer from overcooking those back tires now and are really trying to gain that time aggressively. However, it's not working. They're losing time throughout this entire lap through every exit now all of a sudden through both horseshoes.
Yep, that is, I mean, you see them now separating more and more and more, and you see wider lines actually. And what you also see is more locking up of brakes. So is that more like of a driver kind of error, so like another driver who's not that good on the brakes? Or is that actually the tires giving in just a little bit?
And I think that separates the good from the great drivers potentially in the series too. With Mauna Kea going back up to them, remember they had a 2015 GT Academy champion in the first stint. You have a member of basically Formula Academies in the second stint. And right now, some strategies working better than most. One of the bigger undercut drivers is Boris Orakowen, very much pardon me, currently trying to work his way towards Road Bender, with back then as well, Road Bender's black behind them. They were one of the other early undercut driver teams that were able to gain a few spots, rather. What am I trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, even the number 8 car with Yitescan at the wheel, they got 3 positions from their pit stop.
Basically, to flip that was for 7th, pardon me. Then behind them, you got that Porsche that was back to as far back as 12th, but they were the earliest overall driver to pit, team to pit. Turscan working his car into the 9th spot. That was in part because of some collisions, mind you, but also they've been able to play the strategy card well here, it looks like, here, Tobias.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're very smooth on the tires if you see how the wheel is moving around, and with the brakes, just lifting them a little bit and then pressing them a little bit more, not to over-brake the car. It looks like they're actually now saving tires and it works fine.
Indeed, right now, and other than that contact they had into turn 1 in the early stages of the race, they've been able to keep the car clean, although they've been running much of the time on their own. Meanwhile, not running on their own is this battle for 5th. Track Warriors dropped a lot of time to Aston Motorsport as they've broken the toe from Urkel's car. Yelnats, mind you, was also a part of the undercut strategy, who is up into 3rd as the fastest car on the racetrack since then. They've fallen off the map. They lost time, actually, because of the strategy.
They did not only lose time, they only, wasn't it the Road Bender's yellow car who...
Yes, Road Bender's yellow was in 3rd, mind you, and gaining a half second a lap.
Yeah, and also they did the mistake at the bus stop, so they have to get back into the rhythm.
Trying to work into a rhythm on the outside line in front is Aston Motorsport. Not able to work a rhythm are these two. Road Bender's yellow and Track Warriors sideways making contact. Some damage to Track Warriors. They lose a ton of time after the sideways slide.
Yeah, it looked like Road Bender's yellow. They tried to keep it as much on the inside as possible, and they might have been in the blind spot. Yeah, it looks like they were on the blind spot of Track Warriors. Road Bender's not being able to keep it that much on the inside as they'd like to, and then you have an incident like this one.
And you talked about the rear brake lock also being a possibility in one of the other incidents. Right before they made that contact, you might have seen they just, Yelnats bobbled straight forward and slightly to the right, and then just took off into that left rear quarter panel. So it looks like that might have been the biggest part too.
very unfortunate in that situation. I mean, all of that drama has put Romo Racing Team in second, and Pure keeps on the third spot just at the moment, because Iceland now is back at the rear of that Ford. And look at that. Are they trying to go to the inside right now?
Yes, they are. Yes, they make it work. Vulcan sitting there thinking, what are you doing, boy, as he pulls off. Once again, flashes the lights, too. So that's probably exactly what he was thinking.
Yeah, that was a very, let's call it courageous try to overtake here. Going to the inside and just force the way through.
Yeah, it didn't even lift there. Meanwhile, Vulcan's thinking, why are we doing this? There's still 23 minutes to go here, kid. And now, all of a sudden, Ashta Motorsport currently in line for a possible podium, but you still got to remember, they're still close. That can still change. Meanwhile, Smooth Criminal Racing passes right on by Track Warriors as they continue to drive backwards, the Warriors.
Yeah, this is very, very unfortunate for the Track Warriors, who were in second place for a long, long time up to that pit stop window, and then they just lost it on the pit exit, spun the car and lost a lot of time, and now losing even more positions and more positions. And then they had the contact with Roadbender's yellow car, so that race for them, that doesn't go as the best one in the history books.
I don't think it does at all whatsoever. Roadbender's yellow, you see, with Jonas currently in the 6th spot with that. Meanwhile, let's go back to 13, because quietly, there's been a battle shaping up. This is between Race Condition with Faith Atik as they go sideways now. Yelsnik nearly gets T-boned by Kuzni with Spark Motorsports. So, just like that, you put a camera in front of them, they lose control into the horseshoe.
I think that was kind of the producer's curse here.
Maybe that drone, more like the drone flying above curse, as you see the contact looked like there. That Race Condition tried to crowd down on the inside, not thinking they were going to go side by side, maybe.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Again, it looked like a blind spot error again, I think.
Looked like it from Attack there that crushed on down. Meanwhile, Run for Fun trying to run to recovery. Turns the spots up to 9th once again. Because Roadbender's yellow, all of a sudden, has fallen back to 10th. So, looks like, again, an issue happened. Because remember that contact from before? It looks like it's starting to lead to now a snowball mistakes. Because as we showed that replay, they crashed, they ended up losing control heading into NASCAR 1. The Roadbender Yelnitz did.
Yeah, they were braking on, and they just lost the rear. I think they were braking while turning into the left.
As well as hit the curb, too.
Yeah.
And that kind of swung it around. So that is why they are now back to 10th for those wondering. They almost got ran over too by Smooth Criminal Racing, who avoided getting damaged with that. So that is, things are snowballing. When things happen like this, where you have snow incident after incident after incident rolling down a hill, what do you do as a driver here?
I think you just keep it. You just try to get back to it. Try to not hit that curb that much as they did before. So yeah, you can just maybe you can't recover that much in 20 minutes.
Indeed, I don't know if you can either. You're looking on board here with, once again, trying to see the exact part of me. This is Track Warriors on recovery, with the damage on the left front rather, as Super Controller Racing dives right on inside and makes the pass work, and works their way and knocks over the cones in the bus stop. So that's going to be a slowdown penalty for a couple seconds there, as now they lose even more time. So Urkel also going backwards on the racetrack. Some of the top fastest cars in the first stint have fallen off the map in the second stint. As you look back at what happened to the full.
Yeah, you've seen it like a little bit more. He lost it on the entry of that turn, or was it mid-turn rather?
Looked more like mid-turn up there, I think, Tobias, when he hit the curb there, maybe.
Yeah, so very unfortunate. And again, I think this is live. The track Team Run for Fun is now being passed by the Roadbender's yellow again. So Team Run for Fun, not that much on their recovery at the moment, as Roadbenders were just a slight faster into turn 1, but doing the mistake, braking very weirdly into the International Horseshoe.
And remember, might be the similar case where those tires might be a bit more cooked, a bit more temperature sliding to the corner. It's going to be a bit more difficult. They let on by Team Alpha as well, so it looks like they know there's a problem here with their car.
I don't think they hit anything before, but
they didn't hit. They, of course, got like some contact with the side, remember, and also slid, so the tires are cooked, and all of a sudden they're driving backwards and nearly slide on some of these exits, it looks like.
I mean, I'm trying to see if the steering wheel is straight, but the steering wheel looks fine, but you think it might be a problem with that, with one of the axles?
That could be a potential. The right front does have some markings from that said contact if there is a way to see as close as possible on that. So there is some damage there, while there might be minimal cosmetic damage on the car. There is the potential that even if the suspension is not damaged, there might be something else that might be slightly off that they might be feeling when the car is turning itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it actually does make sense, yes.
Yes. Yes, indeed. As you see now, these drivers lined up once again through the NASCAR Tri Oval. With under 18 minutes to go, Team Alpha trying to gain an extra point into the standings. They're going to dive it on in and make the move work for Team Run for Fun. Meanwhile, lined up is Track Warriors up in front of them as they continue to fall off. Speaking of issues, Track Warriors down to a minute 45.7 last time by. Road Benders yellow while on their own a minute 46 as we look at the replays. And it looks like something again happened with them.
Oh, they lost the rear again into turn one, and it looks like they, you know, the line they choose here on their own, it didn't look as perfect as they did it before, you know, going a little bit more to the outside, trying this triangular movement of the car.
And at this point, it looks like those tires might be done here, Tobias, because at this point, they're having a hard time getting the top, being able to hold on to the car. It seems apex off.
Yeah, it does. And looking how the car actually behaves, they were maybe running on a low setting of traction control, because in the GT Le Mans, on the GTE cars, you have the usual traction control, then you have your yaw control, and it might be that they turned that a lot down, and now it comes, it comes at a cost.
Team Alpha gives the cost of making mistakes in the mid portion for Track Warriors to an early lost spot. They drop back down to 9th. Team Alpha, all of a sudden, up to 8th as they pull on away from the other two drivers. So all of a sudden, Ulfcan Burkjai, very apologies there, is now on his very lonesome in one of the Porsches. It's now the second highest Porsche. Porsche's running 7th and 8th.
They're doing a pretty good job, even though they should be a little bit disadvantaged on the straights. But actually, they're holding their cars together. As you see, like 15 and 090 car, they're having battles and problems. They're sliding all over the place, in my opinion.
Indeed, right now you're looking at that still as another slide for Take a Guess. Road Benders yellow. It continues to roll down the snowball-filled hill, and are all the way back to 12th now because of another turn 1 slide, it appears.
Back to 13th even. They lost 9 positions compared to the qualifying. So they're actually now the losers of the end of the race, one could say, having lost at least 7 or 8 positions just in the last few laps.
And compare that to Track Warriors 2. They lost 8 spots since the start of the race. They were the second best car, were the potential leader before that spin, and since then, they've snowballed. Someone that's been on the rise, though, is the black counterpart for Road Benders. Behind the wheel, Ozan Yuragil, currently running on his own while Pure Motorsport says hello to the grass. Huge bubble to the left, able to get the car back rolling, but losing a ton of time again. They fall all the way back and have to run the apron.
You really don't want to climb that one. So let's see. The entry was still okay, but then it looks, they had a spin again, and again they saved the car from the snap oversteer. Very well done there.
And it looked like might have got a little too much of the grass there to the left side on top of that to cause that snap, because, of course, grass, very slippery. It doesn't have that much traction compared to pavement, I heard.
Yeah, I heard that one. There are some stuff out there where it isn't like this, but here, okay, it is. So let's see. Track Warriors, they're trying to get back positions, but they're running 146s. No, 144.5, so they recovered a little bit. So that Erkel now at the wheel, trying to get around the team run for fun with the Burek Aksoy at the wheel. And talking of which, is locking up the tires pretty much.
That time locked up, I think it was the left front, and there's some major damage from that contact Team front had during the first stint on that left front too, affecting them somewhat here. But the more they battle, the more that it's going to be impossible to try and keep up with the 8th position at this point. With both of them just trying, I think, just finish off this race. There's just under 14 minutes to go.
Yeah, under 30 minutes to go. Both the Porsches being pretty stable around here, with Super Gajera Racing with Tescan at the wheel, and Team Alpha, the number 12 car, with Efkan Birkia at the wheel. So actually, the Porsches, they, I think, can cope with the tires a little bit better than the Ferraris at least, or the Fords as we've seen, because they look pretty stable all around. They're doing like similar lap times every lap, I think. Let me see.
Indeed, right now, and you might see something here. Trying to see something here on this side. Just continue to look at the 8th spot with Team Alpha running on their own some. And looking back now to 13th, these drivers at this point, they're just, I think, at this point to the point where we've saved enough. If they have taken enough fuel, they're going for it and trying to get the best points they can for this opening round from here. Pure Motorsport just made the pass up for 5th over Smooth Criminal Racing to recover 1 spot.
Yes, so they made turn 1 better than their other Ford team around here that were the sorry for that, Road Benders, of course, yellow. Let's see in the rear play. Yeah, they made it to the inside. The inside is a lot better on traction on this race here.
Yeah, and every driver we've seen that's forced to the outside or tries to make the pass on the outside has not had it work whatsoever this time. Does the smart thing as you follow along with their drone shot. Was able to get the run on the inside, and it looks like Smooth Criminal Racing, knowing that they're faster, just let them have it.
That was the smartest idea here, seeing that we had already a lot of contacts. But you know who's coming up behind them? The Porsche of Super Gajera Racing. He's coming up to that group now.
Yeah, and this time, last time was a minute 40.4 for them. So they're watching along as side by side into the bus stop again. Vulcan having to take the inside line. Smooth Criminal Racing checked right up to Tazcan. So again, looks like neither were expecting them to nearly go side by side to the bus stop. Smooth Criminal Racing this time is the one who loses the most time out of it.
Yeah, you know, it's like this chicken game when you run 2 cars in front of each other, what you've seen in most of the movies. It's the same thing in the bus stop. You can get through there side by side, but you lose a lot of time there. And I think Smooth Criminal Racing is Baris Karacharoun, sorry for that one, is he just tried to go for it. He just you know, with a poker face going straight in, and he lost the game.
And you might have just seen a moment ago, there was a pass for second, Ashton Motorsport now to second, as now they are picking up the pace, able to pass by Moto Racing Team. Meanwhile, the pass battle position, rather, shaping up for 6th still. On the back bumper, Super Gajera Racing with Tashkent still trying to get into the tire tracks. This entry about 5 feet later on the brakes, much deeper into the brakes, and able to dime it off. So it looks like Tezcan's been able with that Porsche, able to send it in deeper, diamond it off, and not lose really any time on the corner exits to help him gain this ground back up to his fellow competitors now. Right now, last time by, it was a second faster than Vulcan. 2 seconds faster, of course, with the checkup from Smooth Criminal Racing.
Yeah, you've seen the Porsche in the Western Horseshoe, just a slight bit of locking up, but not that much as the others. And I just hope for the 17 car he doesn't try to go too wide again into the bus stop. He does, though.
And not the smart decision. That will lose him a ton of time and another spot on the racetrack. Tezcan says thank you for 6th. And now he's in line for a possible top 5 if he can get something together. Meanwhile, going through the triangle is the battle for 2nd once again. Borogul was able to make the pass work before on Kaya. Kaya wants the spot back. Can't get to him yet, losing time again. So it looks like we've seen this at the end of the last run with Momo Racing Team. they were able to start picking up ground. Then in the final about 10 minutes, they started to lose ground again, back again as we go side by side.
Yeah, side by side, left side is the onboard of the Momo Racing Team car, and I think the other one is the rear view of the Ace Motorsport car, is it? No, it is not.
That is the Momo Racing Team car with road blocker Benders Yet Black saying, "Thank you for the screen time," nearly hitting the back bumper right now within one car length here. But at this point, it looks like with both drivers for Momo Racing Team, in the final 10 minutes of a stint or required stint, they have just lost the time they've been able to pick up in the 15 minutes prior here, Tobias.
You think it's about the pressure of the drivers? Like, okay, we have just 9 minutes, we have just about 5 laps left to do something here. I mean, they ran the fastest lap overall with a 142.258 in that race, but now they lost the spot to the Road Benders Black car.
And Road Benders Black sent it in the dive bomb onto the inside line and pushed them up on the entry, giving a near slight kiss to the left front tire for Kaya's car. Kaya looks like he wants to try and get the spot back, so another bold move to move up in our spot. Will it stick though? They're side by side. Side drop from Kaya, able to get the pass on back. Yorkville, it lets him on by and tucks back in for the spot.
It looks like he just eased off the throttle a little bit.
Yeah, he did press out of the throttle. At that point, maybe he thought, you know what, maybe that was too aggressive there. Speaking of aggressive, Tezcan pushes Pure Motorsport off the inside line, able to make the move up to the top 5. They go in the Porsche.
Wow, that's very much good of driving. You remember them being in P12 sometime around.
Yeah, they stayed in P12 all the way until the end of the first stint. They were one of the first drivers to undercut in this field today, and now, in part mistakes, in part consistency, top 5. So you have to give a solid hand here to Super Kajiro Racing for both their drivers. That consistency, especially able to take advantage of these mistakes and pull on away now for some of the fastest cars in the first stint.
Yeah, seeing the rear, from the rear now of the Tezcan's gearbox, looking at the Road Benders Black car, you see, sorry, Pure Motorsport of Vulcan, you see the Ford taking a wider line through the exit. I think they have to because of how the car behaved before, and they lose a lot of time just getting out of that turn, getting into the oval.
And they're actually picking up speed, in fact, compared to that two-car tandem behind. You look at the two-car tandem now, as Vulcan will he have to deal with another dive bomb? Yes, he will. Karokoren dives it in very deep, sends it in, makes it stick, keeps it out of the grass, and makes the pass work. How about that for a dive bomb, as Vulcan has to back out yet again.
Yeah, that was definitely a Alonso-style dive bomb, as I call them in the bus stop. He did the same thing twice, I think, on 2 cars.
And this time, Smooth Criminal Racing, after so many attempts to pass, made it work. We look at the replay, blinked the lights to know that the pass was coming, sent it in very fast, and was able to not make a mistake this time to lose time.
Yeah, calling out the name with a very bad joke, that was actually pretty smooth.
Smooth like a smooth criminal, to take the words out of Michael Jackson's mouth. Of course, in reference to the Smooth Criminal Jackson song, potentially, that team name. Either way, the battle for third heats on up because Momo Racing Team has to deal with Road Benders Black on the inside line going into towards NASCAR 1.
Yep, and this will not, this will stay like this up till the end, or up till some of these cars is into the wall, I guess.
3.5 laps to go. Yes, 3.5 estimated laps to go. Road Benders Black trying to get the slingshot onto the outside line, wanting to get the podium. A difference of 5 points between these spots with under 3.5 laps to go. Can he get the move on the outside? Going to try and go side by side to the bus stop, making contact. They're both sideways. Spinning around is Road Benders Black. Keeping the spot is Momo Racing Team on the aggressive dive.
Oh my gosh, this was not how it works, guys. I told before, you can go too wide into the bus stop, but not at these speeds these guys were going.
Way too quick into the bus stop, and now 2-3 spots potentially lost as you look at the drone view.
Yeah, it looks like the 26 car went deeper than Momo Racing, so yeah, there was contact to happen.
Yep.
I mean, there was no way it didn't.
And while Momo Racing team could potentially lock up the podium, they got a lot of damage. Currently the battle for 5th now shaping up again as Smooth Criminal Racing pulls on away for now. Roadbenders Black currently losing track after cooking the tires. They're trying to catch back up to Tezcan in that 4th spot now with everything on the line here. With under 3 estimated laps to go, under 4 minutes overall.
Wow, what a race it was till here already, and it's heating up another time for the finishing 3 laps.
And at this point, as you follow along now with Vulcan, what can a driver like him do now after being dive bombed a couple times to try and recover, say, okay, can I lock myself up and get myself back into the top 5 here as he lost time again on the corner exit?
Yeah, if he keeps on doing like this, he will not gain time at all, but more of it loses. So yeah, that might be the end of the story of Pure Motorsport getting into 5th. But we don't know what will happen to the car in front, because we've seen cars spinning out in the bus stop, spinning out in turn 1. So it's not over yet. It's over when the checkered is shown.
Yes, and with under 3 minutes to go, 2:47 to be exact on the clock. Anything can happen really from positions 4th on back as you look still with Pure Motorsport, the center of your screen. The attention has to shift potentially towards drivers like Smooth Criminal Racing's Karokaran. Again, up in front of this group. He's gaining time all of a sudden because of how he's been taking the bus stop compared to Tezcan now in that Porsche. Everyone sends it in deep, nearly locking up as Smooth Criminal Racing. It's down to just under 5 car lengths for the battle for 4th spot, while Pure Motorsport drops to 10 back.
Yeah, Pure Motorsports, they again have to keep on pushing their car because the Roadbenders Black are right behind them. There's Team Alpha coming up now with Efkan Birke, and they are going to try to take this position.
And this has been a heck of a second stint from Birke. He has been picking up pace after pace after pace as Team Alpha has been picking up the pieces of everyone's mistakes so far. Can they move up to the 7th or potentially even 6th spot with a lap and a half estimated to go? Overcooking the corner is Vulcan. Sets up Iggy Blue. Sets him up inside. Everyone lines up on the inside. Will someone send it again to the bus stop in this group?
Well, you can guess that the Smooth Criminal Racing guys, they sent it before. They probably try to send it another time in this race as they have this time and one more try.
Lining up as Ikigu doesn't go for the dive bomb this time. Team Alpha still falls in behind them, losing some time to the bus stop. Meanwhile, the overall race leader passing by the start-finish line right now. 1 minute to go on the clock for tonight's opening round of the Turkish National GT Championship.
And this will certainly mean this is going to be the last lap of the race. So this is where it counts now for Smooth Criminal Racing to keep that spot, but they switching positions again. Oh, sorry, it was Roadbenders Black car. Sorry, not Smooth Criminal. So Roadbenders Black braking early because they got a little bit cut off by the 7 car.
And able to cut inside of Vulcan. Vulcan hits in the bump. He goes off in the grass. Tries to cut on inside. Can't get inside yet as Team Alpha tries to take the outside line. Sliding the tires is Vulcan. Can't get to the line he needs to. Vulcan can't get the traction down. Roadbenders Black able to get up to 6th. Still side by side for 7th on the final lap.
Wide through the king now in the Western Horseshoe is the Porsche of Road Alpha, trying to stay on the outside of that car because that means going to the oval they will be on the inside on the better one. As we got the confirmation, this is the final lap, so this is now where it counts for all of these cars, and they made it as I predicted.
White flag now up in the air for the race. Team Alpha up to 7th, but since the start of the race tonight, Team Mauna Kea showed a lot of great pace. They battled in the first stint for much of the way with Track Warriors. They were able to not make any mistakes during the first stint, leading a majority of the first stint laps. Then, mistakes in the second stint from Track Warriors were able to get them up to 6.7 seconds. Heading to the checker flag, Team Mauna Kea wins round number 1 of the Turkish National GT Championship in Daytona.
And as we see the fireworks here, Aston Motorsport crossed the finish line in second place. Momo Racing Team, they will come up behind them with the Super Gajero Racing with a hell of a drive to P4, being all the way back in P12 and 13 sometime around. Smooth Criminal Racing, they also made it, and Team Alpha got the position on Pure Motorsport in the last lap.
And meanwhile, as the drivers watch the fireworks above the beautiful Daytona International Speedway, they continue to sort themselves around, trying to avoid Aston Motorsport blocking the track in the exit of turn number 1. But still, a few more drivers having to come off to the finish right now. Road Benders Yellow currently still working through NASCAR 3 and 4. Team Quicksilver currently on their own in 15th. Spark Motorsport fell to 16th. And Blue Screen of Death Racing in 17th. A heck of a first round tonight, and everyone who is a fan of Team Mauna Kea celebrating and dancing in the infield tonight. With that, let's look at your race results here for the opening round of the Turkish National GT Championship tonight. As mentioned, Team Mauna Kea comes away with the checker flag. The overall distance at the checker flag, 6.2 seconds, was the final gap over Aston Motorsport, who were able to keep the most consistent run, 5.2 to the checker flag. Momo Racing Team finished off in third despite the contact made and the battle with Road Benders Black for the top 3, while Super Gajero Racing went from 12th to 4th to be the highest finishing Porsche. Smooth Criminal Racing danced their way through the songs up to the top 5, while Road Benders Black still came around in 6th. Team Alpha 7th, with Pure Motorsport having a late race collapse to come away 8th. Team Run for Fun ran their way to the 9th spot, while Space Racers finished off in 10th. Team Bam Bam Bam, remember that team had a very quiet run at times tonight. They came away 11th tonight for the Turkish National GT Championship, while Track Warriors went from 2nd to 12th and could have potentially been in the contention for the win if they didn't have the mistakes coming out of pit road and the snowball effect. Race Condition finished off 13th, while Road Benders Yellow also rode on top of the snowball from Track Warriors to 14th. Team Quicksilver, Spark Motorsport, and Blue Screen of Death Racing round out the 17 drivers for the opening round of the Turkish National GT Championship. We'll take a step aside. When we come back, we'll have post-race interviews here on the iRacing Esports Network and RaceSpotTV for the Turkish National GT Championship.
Alpha is $10,500 richer. Two-time NASCAR is your 2013 NASCAR iRacing. It's going to be Humpy winning the race, and it's going to be Conti taking away his first NASCAR 2017 NASCAR Peak Antifree Series Championship to Ryan Luza. Young fella is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifree's iRacing Series.
drivers went round and around and around like a Ferris wheel tonight for the Turkish National GT Championship, but only one driver came home today with the checker flag. Team Mauna Kea won the opening round of the 2019 season and were able to win it by 5.2 seconds over Ashton Motorsport. One of the top teams we discussed throughout the broadcast with the top Porsche run today was Supercajero Racing, going from 12th to 4th. Let's bring in the driver for the second stint for that car, and Tezcan right about now. Here to the RaceSpotTV broadcast booth, and a heck of a race tonight. Now joining us in the broadcast booth is Yildiz Tezcan. How are you feeling about coming away with the top 4 finish here tonight in the opening round of the season?
Well, man, I actually couldn't believe it because the first stint was really hard for my teammate Errol. He had a little contact, and when I got the car was like having a lot of understeer and wasn't really turning to the right especially. And the full tank with the worn tires was especially difficult. I had difficulty braking. I locked up several times, but in the end everything worked out, and I think we were a little bit lucky too.
I do have to say that, and I want to ask you, it seemed in that second stint, even despite the contact with the first stint, the car seemed to get stronger and stronger. How was that car feeling once you jumped in for that stint to try and finish off the race tonight?
Yeah, well, our idea was that we knew that the Porsches aren't really strong here, not that strong. We thought that, I believed that I was good on used tires, and once the car got lighter with the fuel, it got better, like every lap. But I really had a little bit of problem turning. There was a lot of understeer.
Indeed, right now, you're also on top of that, of course, able to avoid some of the attrition of the race too. That kind of also helps, so to speak. But to get to my next question, of course, was good start to you guys point standings wise. 15 points after the first round. The next round for February the 12th heads off to Summit Point. How do you and your teammate feel about that, the challenges that circuit will bring?
We're actually really happy because this race was one of like our, I don't know, scapegoat race. Before the race we told each other if things didn't work out, we wouldn't blame each other because we knew this wasn't our track because of the speed difference on the straights. But it's just getting fourth here and getting a lot of points is a bonus for the rest of the championship for us.
Indeed it is. Anyone you want to thank before you let you go here for tonight?
Okay, I'll first thank people in English for watching the broadcast and their support. We tried to show the best of Turkish sim racing here. A lot of effort went into this championship planning and all. And I also want to say some stuff in Turkish as well, if you guys allow me.
Yes, go ahead.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yes, it's okay. Of course, it's okay.
Beyler çok teşekkür ederim desteğiniz için. Olağanüstü bir izlenme sesi, olağanüstü bir yarış oldu. Her şey için çok teşekkür ederim. Diğer yarışları da izleyin lütfen. Şimdi diğer arkadaşlara vereceğim sıramı, onlar konuşacak. Teşekkür ederim tekrar. Okay guys, that's it for me.
Thank you very much for the time. Congratulations on the top 4 finish tonight.
And I should congratulate you for the great broadcast, man. I was watching the first stint while my teammate was driving and it was amazing. Really good job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is Yildiz Tezcan coming away 4th in the second stint for his team in Supercajero Racing tonight. Of course, a good run here for him tonight and his squad as we bring in, bring in one of the teams that had a collapse tonight. In Track Warriors, they were running part of the time up towards the front as we bring in the driver of that 090 machine coming in Select, the driver for the first stint for the team. What happened basically with that collapse, of course, starting off with that spin out of the pits?
Yeah, first of all, I made a mistake in qualification, so I started second, and I tried to pass the leader as soon as possible, and I passed also. And I thought the Team Monaco would come to pit early, so I decided to wait him to speed us up. Then I tried to overtake, but it was too hard to pass from the outside at turn 1. And my teammate made some mistakes, so we will prepare for next race to be better, I think.
More cancel.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had some contacts at turn 1, and we made mistake in the pit lane. I hope we will fix the issues.
Indeed, Merkan Selak with us here in the broadcast booth. When you were talking with your teammate, what kind of differences did he say he felt compared to what you might have been feeling in Sedat Erkal in that race?
Yeah, he's a bronze driver. Mm-hmm. He still keep improving himself. We try to be better, I think. That's all.
Of course, the next round goes to Summit Point.
Yeah.
What's the approach for that race for round number 2?
We tried to change our strategy for the next race, but we didn't decide yet. Summit Point is closed track to race, and we will see.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go here tonight?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the time, Merkan, and congratulations on the 11th here tonight, if that can be a congrats.
Thank you very much.
That was Merkan Selak coming in. Thank you very much for the people watching along here with this action here tonight for that. Of course, also coming into the broadcast booth now was another team that came in like a boomerang in the last few moments of this race here. Efkan Berkel from Team Alpha tonight, coming away 8th. Apologies if I mispronounced it for the last name. Apologies. He's but a heck of, 7th here tonight. What basically helped you and your team basically turn around what was a run near the back of the field all the way to a run to the top half?
Yeah, hi, first of all. And yeah, it was a pretty clean race, actually. We stayed out of trouble. We were a bit on the back, and we avoided contact and damage. And my teammate did a great job by saving the tires for me. And then in the pit window, he came into the pit, and then I had a pretty fast car. And after that, it was pretty easier, let's say.
And it looked like, too, on top of that, as the fuel continued to burn on down, once you got up to that next group of cars, you were in the mix of things with Pure Motorsport, Race Benders Black. What was going through your mind as you were starting to pass all these cars and gain more and more time in the final few laps?
Yeah, actually I tried to do my best and gain as much position as possible, as many positions as possible, but yeah, at the end we had some fights and also I did some mistakes in the race. I gotta cut the course and I went out in the turn 1. Maybe if I hadn't done those, that the result would be different, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result.
Of course, next round to Summit Point.
Yes.
What's you and your team's focus for that race in mid-February?
Yes, I think that track would suit the car a bit better. We all know the Porsche is not that great at Daytona, so yeah, we did our best. P7 is pretty okay, so now we will focus and try to be in top 3 in the remaining races.
Anything you want to say before we let you go, or anyone you want to thank?
First of all, I want to thank all the guys who organized this event, and I want to thank RaceSpot for broadcasting it and for the great live stream. And I want to congratulate the top 3 teams. And that's all. Thank you.
Congratulations on the 7th place finish tonight. Team Alpha coming away 7th.
Thank you.
And that was Efkan and Berkali, pardon me, coming away in the 7th spot tonight in that second stint. But your final thoughts here, Tobias, before we head off into the sunset, or rather the dark set.
Well, I hoped for an exciting race with a lot of racecraft, but of course some action and some crashes or incidents. It actually had everything. You had 1 hour 30 of a... It felt, in between, it felt like an endurance race, but of course it's more likely a sprint race. It had everything.
It absolutely did. A lot of competitiveness, a lot of fast cars, a lot of spinning cars, and in the end, Team Mauna Kea coming away with the checker flag here tonight for the opening round. Again, the second round of the series for the Turkish National GT Championship will be headed to Summit Park. That is on February the 12th. And you can see that 90-minute race here on the iRacing Esports Network for that competition for the 6-race championship with this unique format that we've talked about throughout the race tonight. Once again, February the 12th at Summit Point. Of course, with that, it's time to say goodbye here on the iRacing Esports Network. For Hugo Weiss, for Tobias Brockman, the rest of our crew, it's time to say a beautiful goodbye. And to the rest of our sponsors, a beautiful thank you for being a part of tonight's broadcast. Thanks for tuning in here from the virtual Daytona Beach, Florida, here at Daytona International Speedway. I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you the next time we get into action here on the iRacing Esports Network and RaceSpotTV.